Hi, everyone. So I just wanted to come on here kind of briefly to talk about some study tips because a lot of times my students or people that show up on my Read With Me or Write With Me live streams kind of ask how to focus, how to avoid procrastination, especially with people with ADHD, but really anyone can benefit from maybe some strategies, some creative ideas on different ways you can motivate yourself to even start and maybe continue your session for longer than you usually are able to, and also kind of meet your goals and feel good about what you're doing. So the first thing I would suggest is, if you haven't heard of the Pomodoro Method, to look that up, check it out, or just listen to my description of it. Basically, what it is timing your study session. So if you are someone who you feel like you can't really study for a long time, what the Pomodoro Method does is break up your studying. So basically, what it is you study for you set a timer. This is really important. You set a timer and study for about 20 to 25 minutes. And that's, if you think about it, that's not a super long time, right? If you are avoiding studying because you think, oh, this is going to take 2 hours and that just doesn't sound pleasant to me, well, it's kind of incorporating baby steps in a sense, which is a whole other kind of strategy, but it sort of overlaps. Saying that, okay, well, I can do 20 to 25 minutes, and then I get to reward myself with a break. So you get a break for about 5 minutes. So study 20 or 25 minutes, you can adjust it. The point is alternating studying and breaks. And then you take a 5-minute break, but that is not a break of scrolling on the internet, because probably what you're doing is sitting down and you're using your laptop or some kind of desktop or something, or you're sitting down and reading. What you need to do is get up out of your chair and do something active. So think about what you can do for 5 minutes that will kind of reset, give your body some movement, etc. So you can take a quick walk, maybe pace your apartment or your house or the library or wherever you are. Go get some coffee or make yourself some tea if you're, in a coffee shop or at home. Step outside for a second if you have a balcony like I do, or if you can just step out on your porch or go outside of the library. Be in the sun or be in the elements, whatever the weather is, if that's at all possible. You can, refill your drink, your glass of water. You can do a little bit of organization around your house, but just a task that's just 5 minutes, and you might time that as well. The Pomodoro Method actually requires you to, so you can get right back to studying. And then you do this a couple of times, the 20 or 25 minutes, 5-minute active break, 20 or 25 minutes of studying and working, 5-minute active break, until you study for about 2 hours, or maybe a little more, a little less, depending on the exact time that you're studying. And then after, let's say, 2 hours, or whatever the math adds up to be, then you take a half an hour break. Now, my issue that the Pomodoro Method would solve, if I would use it more often, is that a lot of times I'll study for the 2 hours and then I'll just take a 3-hour break. So this is not exactly what you want to do if you have intentions to study for, I don't know, maybe 4 hours or 6 hours a day, or a particular day if you're preparing, writing a paper, preparing for an exam, or you just want to get a good start on whatever you're doing, or if you're a student and you just have that much time. So a 30-minute break. So that would be a good time to eat breakfast if you're studying in the morning, or eat lunch, or to maybe work out. Again, not watching a show, not being on your computer, not scrolling the internet, because that often drains your energy. And what we want to do during a break, an active break, is renew energy and give you more energy so you can go back to studying, right? So what can you do in 30 minutes that's active? You could take a longer walk, like around your neighborhood. Again, you could make something to eat. I know you're sitting down when you're eating, but you are standing up and moving around when you're preparing your meal. Like I said, working out, do a task, maybe wash some dishes, vacuum, etc. Play with your pet if you have one, play with your kid if you have one. I know everyone has such different lives and lifestyles and situations. So, but I think you get the gist. And then you can do a whole other session of that, 20 to 25 minutes and 5-minute break. And then, have another 30-minute break and see how you feel. Or if you're done studying for the day or evening, then that is it. So I hope that makes sense. The second thing is to write down your goals. A lot of times, in the past I would, or not really now, because I do follow this pretty regularly. If you can write down exactly, either like a to-do list, or definitely you want to write down your goals for the day. But then record the information. Like, I studied at the end of the 20 or 25 minutes, or however, whenever you complete a task, of this book, I read 15 pages. Of this book, I read 10 pages. I wrote one paragraph. Write it down in detail. That way, you can look at what you've done at the end of the day, or at any point in the day. You can realize you did something. This works even if you feel like, in general, with life's tasks, if you get to 4:30 in the day, in the afternoon, and you feel like, I didn't really do anything. That's not true. You did stuff. You just didn't write it down. And unless you are really trying to concentrate and remember, it's not going to come to you quickly. So, you might be the type of person that you want to write down everything. I woke up and I took the dishes out of the dishwasher. I made myself some tea. I went out to get the mail. You can be as detailed, and it doesn't have to do with studying if you need to remind yourself that you have been productive, even if you rested. And sometimes it's good to also catch when you are being not productive. Like, I spent 2 hours watching Netflix or scrolling Twitter or whatever. I don't really count those things as productive. They don't really give me energy. Of course, it's not the what, it's the how, but these are just, adjust the examples as you will. So writing down daily what you're doing, could just be studying, could be everything. So having daily goals is really good. Having weekly goals is also good. This is the advice actually that I got when I was doing my dissertation. Daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and for us, semester or yearly goals. This is good because if you have a paper to do, maybe every day you are going to write a paragraph, or Monday you're going to think of a topic, Tuesday you're going to make an outline, Wednesday you are going to write the introduction, and so on, right? But by the end, you can have your daily goals, but know your weekly goals as well, or just your deadlines. I have to submit whatever it is on the 12th of the month. So I have a week and a half. So what do my daily goals need to be so I can reach that deadline? So if your planner has a daily section, that's great. And then a monthly section, that's also good, if you are using it and if it will help you in your daily tasks. But I just like the calendar anyway, to kind of know what my month looks like. So I would say that any planner works. You can even get a piece of paper and make your own planner. I have gotten into Silk and Sonder. It's a monthly subscription. It's kind of an expensive, not expensive is subjective and relative. I think it's kind of expensive, but I love it so much. It looks cute and it makes me excited about writing things down. So the third thing I would say is, I don't know what I want to list next. I think we'll just talk about environment next. So different people need different things and different levels and kinds of sound to work. This also incorporates brain cues as well. But what kind of environment will help you sit down and pay attention and be focused? Some people say having a specific place that they go to study, like maybe it's a specific coffee shop, or first of all, maybe you have to decide whether you can study at home or you need to go somewhere else, right? Because some people do well when they're at a coffee shop or they're at a library or any kind of public place, because it's that like almost the conversations of others will be white noise, or I don't know if that's exactly like scientifically true, but it seems like it does the same thing as white noise, that it distracts your brain enough that you're not distracting yourself with plans or feelings or emotions or desires that might take you away from studying. It's distracting you enough. And also for me, I kind of feel comforted to know that there are people around me either studying or, just doing something. Like, I don't know, the presence of others really helps me out. But the noise is an extra kind of bonus for some people. So decide where you can study. A lot of people will say, and I think this is what I was going to say earlier, a lot of people will say having a specific desk or place in your apartment or house where you're going to study and incorporating brain cues. I don't know if I want to go to that yet. Let me finish with the noise part and the like bigger picture. And people. So one thing that I do if I can't go to the library or a coffee shop, but you are the type of person that would be helped by that. That's why I do study with me videos. I do it because I know that it's going to help me study for 2 hours usually. And I need the distraction. I need someone like putting in chat like a question or a thought and having a little conversation, and then I go back to my work because it gives me a little break, a little mental break. And then I almost want to go back to my work because I think, oh, well, I'm talking too much. I never really do, but it could potentially do that, right? So whereas if you're just studying, you don't have any impetus to go back to studying because you're just doing a long study session. So you could create your own study with me. I know if you don't have a YouTube channel and you can't do that or don't want to do that, I know that you can just look up study groups on Zoom or on the internet, and there are study groups on Zoom. You can just join a Zoom. And be with random people. And I haven't really done that, but I think you could like also chat in the chat box or whatever. You can have your camera, you have to have your camera on, others, it doesn't matter. You can't have your camera on. So there's a variety. There's lots of study with me. You don't have to join mine. You can join other people's study with me. Sometimes they're live, sometimes they're not, but just having company, I think, helps in many endeavors for human challenges. And then also thinking about noise, Spotify has a lot of playlists. You could type in study or you can type in focus. For me, I can't really have words in my study music. I need to listen to like classical music, any kind of classical music. It could be like classical guitar. It could just be like orchestral. It could be, whatever. It just can't have words. I can't even really study with like whatever is a foreign language to me. that doesn't even work because I want to listen to it and listen to the sounds. So just something in the background, but like I couldn't study with the TV on, with a show on or whatever, because that would distract my attention away, and that's not what we want. We want to keep our attention on the task. So also, so looking at the smaller things we can do with environment, that might tell our brains that, okay, it's time to study. So maybe you go to a place and you have like a routine, that you're going to the coffee shop, you're going to sit down, organize your desk, go get some coffee, you sit down, maybe you do like a little bit of breathing, and then, you're going to study for using the Pomodoro method or whatever you do. If you are just at home, maybe you have some tea. Like study time is also tea time. So that there's like I like jasmine green tea and Earl Grey tea if it's in the morning, caffeine, right? Or I'll do a non-caffeinated tea if it's later in the day, and I also have some water because I always like to hydrate when I'm studying. Maybe you have like a specific snack. Also, lighting a candle, maybe also having essential oils. There are essential oils that say that they can help you focus, and I think it could be true depending on if it's based on science or not for that particular scent, but I just have a lot of different scents. There are scents that can give you energy and wake you up, and then scents that calm you. Like I have peppermint right here, and just maybe, every now and then, like waking your senses up. And also if you're just smelling that during that particular scent during your study session, it will again, like remind your brain that this is what we're doing, we're studying. It's kind of like when people are trying to create a cycle in their day concerning like helping them sleep better. There's certain music that maybe you listen to in the morning and then you listen to different music at night, so it helps your body and your brain and just everything just kind of understand what time of the day it is, other than the really great thing you can do if you're trying to sleep better is go out and get some sunlight in the morning, get afternoon light, and get evening light, and not turn on external artificial lights at night. But anyway, that's another it's another video, not really related to studying. So music, scent, taste, maybe touch, incorporate all the senses. Maybe you have a particular, like, depending on what season it is, you have a particular cardigan, or you, yeah, I don't know. Like, what do you do during the summer to wear? Something that you can incorporate some kind of touch sense with studying. That would be good. Anything else to do with environment? Some people have the problem of not having a place to study, maybe depending on your age or depending on how many people you live with. It can be distracting. Or maybe you don't have a car and you find it hard to leave the house and go wherever you want. Someone in the conversation that I was having about this mentioned noise canceling headphones. So maybe you could have some headphones. Maybe you can ask people that you live with to like not bother you for a particular amount of time. And, some people, going back, I guess, to the Pomodoro method, I know that if you have kids or you have a job or different responsibilities, having like many hours of studying is not exactly going to work for you. So with that, I would say then make it a point to study when you can. For instance, like a lot of us, when we need to unwind or we need a break, sometimes, and we shouldn't do this, but we scroll a little bit for 5 minutes because it's just 5 minutes, right? Well, if you're kind of prepared and you can open your document quickly or have a book beside you, um, you can get something done in small parts, like break times at work or, during your kid's nap or whenever. You just have to be creative and find the time. This is all about experimenting and being creative. So the other thing I would say, so we did like scheduling and timing, environment. The third thing I would say is active reading. So I know you can do this on, there are probably programs where, of course, like highlight a PDF, I guess. I really like physical books. If there's something that, my professor has given me, like an article that I need to read, I'll print it out. I like notebooks and writing down notes and having highlighters and pens and basically like annotating my works, because in a way it does take me longer than to read, but if you're someone who also needs to remember things, and when we're studying, I'm not sure who doesn't need to do that. It helps you be active and interested, and it also gives you something else to do. So kind of variety in terms of breaks, in terms of variety, I think. Like in a college classroom, you'll learn, if you are going into teaching, that it's really important to break up the classroom. Every minute you're doing something, but at some point you'll do something different. And then another point in the hour and 15 minutes or whatever it is, you'll do something different. And that switch kind of acts like a break almost. So I would say active reading would be really helpful. Highlight passages that you find interesting. When you have an idea or a question, write it in the margin, or have a notebook and write it down in your notebook. I would say, looking up words like vocabulary, maybe confusing passages you want to highlight in a different color. Yeah, and so on. So I would say, yeah, anything to do with active reading, and this is probably something you could look up to understand more what that is. And I don't know if this is really a thing. Oh, one more thing about reading. Especially if you have ADHD, even looking at a page might be kind of overwhelming. So a lot of people, oh, I guess this does work. I was just going to say, use fun bookmarks. I use Oracle and tarot cards for my bookmarks, just because I have them. But if you can take your book and put a bookmark over to a part of your page so that you can kind of read a line and then move your bookmark down as you're reading, then that keeps you from feeling overwhelmed, having your eyes roam across the page. Using this little like a ruler bookmark or something could help you. And then let me see. I did sort of write these notes. Okay, so the last one is baby steps. And I would say a lot of people get overwhelmed because they think they have to do their entire task in one sitting. And a lot of times the hardest part is just getting started. And once you get started, you realize it's not that bad and you can do more than you thought you could. So kind of related again to the Pomodoro Method, which is breaking up your study session into manageable sections. Ask yourself what you can do, or what's the biggest thing that you could do that's also small that won't feel overwhelming. If you are writing an essay, say, okay, all I'm going to do is I'm going to think of my topic. That's all I'm going to tell myself to do. That's my expectation. Because sometimes when you are paralyzed by your own perfectionism, you are the kind of person that needs to lower your standard. Okay. I know a lot of us need to raise our standards, but you're also, you're doing it all. Just think what works for you. So say, I'm just going to today, this is all I'm going to do for this particular task. I'm just going to think of what my topic is, and then that's it. Of course, once you're sitting down and you think of your topic, if you say, oh, this is really interesting, I want to continue to think about this, maybe you do a 10-minute free write on your topic, or maybe you want to do the outline, and so what you can do, there's no limit, but what you are requiring yourself to do is very, very small, or you could say, I have this huge book. I feel so overwhelmed. I'm never going to finish it. Forget about finishing it. Forget about the end goal. Just focus on now, focus on the journey, focus on what you can do today. And that's a big thing to think about, what you can do versus what you can't do. Like, if I am not feeling well because I didn't sleep well, because that's usually why I don't feel well, I think, okay, well, maybe I can't do anything, maybe if you're sick, if you have a cold, or if you're so busy, one day, maybe you can't do anything at all. And that's actually authentic and true. But sometimes you can do something, you know? So maybe I can sit and read my easiest book that day when I'm not feeling well. Or maybe I can do another task that I feel like isn't so productive, but it's still helpful, like organize my folders and my documents on my desktop. Like yesterday, I wasn't feeling super well and this was my fault. Usually it's not my fault when I can't sleep. At least I don't understand how it is. But I was just staying up late and using tech really late and just not being disciplined. So the night before, so yesterday, I just felt like I couldn't read. I couldn't work on the paper I needed to work on. I couldn't do the grading that I needed to do, which luckily I caught up on halfway today. I have 2 classes, so I caught up on one of the classes. Um, so I just changed my thumbnails on my YouTube, which some would say that, well, that's a waste of time. And maybe it is, but I like the way it looks and it makes me feel more organized. I think it may help you who, if you watch my other videos, it helps you find maybe the videos you're interested in, or at least see what's available. And I have a YouTube channel and I like it and I'm keeping it. So, it's not completely, a lost day, right? So think of what you could do. Or maybe you can just get some extra sleep that day, or you can just go outside and get some sun, things that are not exactly related to studying, but are more related to like health will end up helping you be productive in, maybe the mental tasks or something. Or maybe you walk around and you talk to yourself about your paper topic, whatever you can do. But back to the studying, I'm going to only read 5 pages in this book, whatever doesn't sound overwhelming to you. Maybe I can only read 20 is your thing. Maybe I can only read a paragraph if the book or the article or whatever your assignment is that you're giving yourself, or your professor is giving you, or your teacher is giving you, depending on where you are in life. Maybe it's just a paragraph. I'm just going to read a paragraph. And if you're the type of person that feels like, well, I usually don't understand what, reading is difficult for you. I usually don't understand what I'm given. Oh, I know that this article or this book is going to be really hard. Okay, well, I'm going to just read this paragraph 3 times. I'm going to make sure that I can summarize the paragraph. I'm going to read it 3 times and that's it. Tomorrow I'll read another paragraph. It just depends what your deadlines are. And, sometimes it is balancing quality with quantity. It's going to help you more if you don't finish the assignment or the book or whatever it is. But maybe I should, I'm thinking like an assignment, like a reading assignment. So it's It's probably more obvious if you don't finish like other types of assignments. I'm just talking about reading right now. If you don't finish like the article or the chapter or the entire book, but you read what you did read really well. And it's not that you spent necessarily less time on it, but you spent more time on part of the reading, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not telling you to spend less time on your reading or your assignments, but spending more time on a smaller part and then going to class and being able to contribute to the discussion, or being able to basically write your paper in your head because you know what you have read and you've thought about it and reflected, you know that so well. So think about balancing, I guess that could be another step, balancing quality with quantity. But back to the baby steps. Maybe, so it could be a baby step of, I guess, dividing up your task into a manageable parts. It could be a baby step of quantity or length. I'm just going to read that paragraph. I'm just going to read 5 pages. I'm just going to read. Or it could be a baby step of time. Again, that kind of overlaps. That's why it overlaps with the Pomodoro method. But I'm just going to sit down and study for 5 minutes. That's all I'm going to do. Probably want to set a timer. But even if the timer goes off, even when it goes off, you can stay there and study longer. I mean, that's a victory, right? That's the great thing. That's what we want you to do. We want you to take the baby step and realize that you built up the difficulty in your head, and you can, is there ever, something that you had to go to or you wanted to do that you just always like never really want to do it, but I guess always never. But once you, on those occasions where you do go to the place or do the activity, you realize it's not so bad. Baby steps are just to help you go to it. So you can then realize it's not so bad. So that is all, I think. I guess maybe, yeah, I guess I kind of covered it in the very beginning with, or in the second step with environment, and with mentioning study with me. Sometimes studying in groups, like, I guess that's what I didn't mention. Having a study group also helps. And that's a little bit the study with me, but like, for instance, if you're working on your dissertation, one of the things that I did, even though I wasn't in a state where I was going through my doctoral program, I went back to live with my parents while I was doing part of my dissertation. I found at the local university, I found a dissertation writing group in the humanities. And so they would just meet every Friday night in this room at the university for like 3 or 4 hours. And I just emailed and asked if I could join their group because I was also writing a dissertation, and they said fine. And it's so great to do things in company, right? Suffering together is maybe what you want to do. So, beyond the going to a coffee shop for white noise or the study with me to have a little bit of a distraction, just working with other people who are doing the same thing as you can really help, and you can start a group. So, all right, well, post in the comments below if you have any more tips or thoughts, or which tip that you thought that I mentioned that sounded useful, or anything that you want to amend or ask. And, I'll keep thinking of these things. It seems like there should be a list of 20 instead of 5, but those are sort of, I think, the main categories that have helped me. And yeah, good luck studying.